to play tier list. So S tier is going to be top picks, you know, your number 1, number 2 picks, your bans. There's only 2 bans, so you know these will be a lot. There's potentially more gods in here than like Smite 1 because of the current circumstances. A tier is going to be always very, very good. Doesn't require comps or anything, like just strong on their own. B tier is going to be your team fillers, good gods, but ones that aren't like core to the team comp. C are going to be hyper situational, not that great. D are going to be pretty bad. Maybe there's some situation you want them, and F tier is just worthless. Don't pick them. So Agni, I would honestly put Agni to B tier, where not a core part of the comp, but solid in mid. Early game is still weak. He's just lacking damage. I think he needs another buff. Aladdin, when he comes out on Monday, will be the best god in the game next to 2 other gods, even if they nerfed him, unless they crazy killed him with the nerfs. But I'm going to assume they didn't. They want him to be strong when he comes out. He's going to still be the best god of the game. Amaterasu, I think, is also that like B tier solid god. Not going to win all the matchups. Not going to have all the perfect team fights, but a very just consistent god all the time. Honor with the aspect, I think, is nuts. I think Honor might be one of the true ADCs in the game, like hard carry ADCs with the aspect change. Without the aspect, okay. Would probably drop him down in the B tier. Anubis, very easy to kill, immobile, not really a scary god. I don't think he's bad. I just think outside of his pressure, he's very risky to play. That's why he's in the B tier. Aphrodite, I think Afro is cracked. I just genuinely think it's cracked. With the Radovas Asclepius, you remove all anti-heal from yourself for 3 seconds and your teammates. So you can counter the anti-heal builds. Obviously, it requires an item. The item's not bad. I think her ult is insane. I think her damage output is insane. I think her buff from her 1 is extremely just looked over right now. I don't think anyone pays attention to it. I think it's very good. If you're playing her correctly, you can have 2 people with the buff as well. 2 of your teammates can have that buff for, it's a short duration, but they can get that buff going into a fight or in the middle of a fight or whatever. So she's pretty solid in my opinion. I think when you're grouping and playing around each other, she's probably the best mage. When you're talking about burst and the kill as fast as you can, just win the fight right away, obviously she's not going to be the one you're going for that comp, but she could counter that on the other team. Say we should roam with junglers at 10 minutes. No. First 10 minutes of a game, you can kind of rotate and do your own thing as a mid or a solo or a duo. You guys can just create your own action. Like the duo lane could rotate to mid lane and kill the mid lane in the first 10 minutes. That's not weird. But after 10 minutes, maybe after 15, if you are starting fights and your jungle's doing something on the other side of the map, you're hard throwing most of the time. You're almost always hard throwing. If your jungle's getting in the solo and you're the mid laner, you go over to the duo and start a fight and their jungler's there, you lose on that side of the fight, that side of the map. You lose that fight, you lose the objective, and it's because you decided to go somewhere other than your jungler. I think that's a really bad way to play like mid game to late game. Ares, worst god in the game. Genuinely the worst god in the game. They butchered his ult, and that's all there is to it. I think even if they made his ult the exact same way it was in Smite 1, he'd probably still be very, very weak. But Ares is probably the worst god of the game. Athena. I am getting to the point where I think Athena with aspect is S tier. They made a change where when she has aspect on an ult and lands, she gets the shield that she used to give her teammates. I'm going full damage, and I'm either going double stacking polyhydras or I'm going crit. I have a clip on YouTube Shorts where I crit somebody. I didn't even have full build. I crit somebody for 1200 and did 60% of their health with 1 auto. That was without full build. I was missing a lot of power still. And with the I forget the name of the item, the attack speed item that has a 15-second cooldown active, whatever that is, she can just kind of trade and become like an auto attack god after throwing all her abilities out, which makes her extremely deadly. I think she'll rival and just be easier to play than most jungles. So she'll just beat out pretty much everybody. She'll match everyone but Aladdin probably, and then on top of it, she's fun as fuck. I'll be adding that new Athena build up to Smite Source tomorrow as well. Bacchus, I think, is very mid. He's fine as a support with no aspect. People are saying his aspect might be very valuable out of solo. I still haven't seen it, and until I see it doing crazy shit consistently, I'm not going to put him in A. I'm fine with him in B. I don't think he's bad. I don't think you're trolling or anything, or I don't think he's situational. I think he's got a solid support phase. Baron, I think, is being slept on the last few days. I don't really know why we're not seeing more Baron. Support Baron is good. Solo Baron is good. Mid Baron is good. His healing is ridiculous. His ult is extremely annoying. The secondary, I won't say procs, debuffs that his Hysteria gives is ridiculous in Smite 2. And maybe that's why people aren't playing him, because they don't even know what his Hysteria does. I don't know. Bellona with Aspect has some potential. Really good in the late game team fights, so I'll put her in B. Cabraga's not out yet, even though he's being pulled from their website, which is weird. Cern, I think, is a really just consistent ADC. I think his Aspect has a lot of potential. I'm just not sold on it being top tier yet, so I'm going to put him in that B tier. Chalk, I think, is also consistent, but not core to the game, not core to team comp. He's not stomping in any role, so I'm putting him in B tier. Cupid, I think Cupid for ranked is probably the best ADC. Oddly enough, on her is a counter to Cupid because of his ult. So you kind of have that matchup not going for you in that favor, but everyone else, Cupid's just good. Cupid's ult being the cripple now into the stun if you have the hearts is ridiculous. I love Cupid support, or sorry, Cupid ADC. Cupid support, I also think is viable, probably B tier, maybe higher, but with the new Aspect, I'd say B tier for the support. Danza, I think, is pretty average. They keep trying to buff his clones, and once they get him to the right spot, I think he'll be very good. But I think as an ADC, Danza's okay. As a jungler, I think he's pretty good. I'd probably still put him in B tier as a jungler as well. Fenrir, I'm not sold on. I think Fenrir is just kind of bad because of how easy it is to not ever get Fenrir ulted. You've got beads in the game on a shorter cooldown than combat blink. You have CC immunities. You have the ability to just run away. You have combat blink to get away. And that's, depending on which active you have. And then on top of it, you have AoE beads from your support or whoever has it. I think Fenrir is borderline down into D tier. I think with his Aspect, he's a little more annoying, but definitely not good enough to move him up to B tier. Geb is the best god in the game next to Aladdin and one other god we'll get to. I'm not ready to put Athena on par, like saying they're just as good, but Athena would be like the fourth in the line for me, I think, going into this. Hades, I think, is very player ability based. He plays weird. He kind of feels like he doesn't do a lot of damage, but if you're really honed in with your Hades gameplay and you're going the right build, I think he's solid out of the solo lane. I think is nuts. Akate mid is ridiculous, and I think everyone sleeps on it, and I don't know why. It was being played a bunch like a month ago. It was just like the top mid. She's still like the top mid. Her damage is ridiculous. Her ult is crazy. Then Aspect Hecate is also being slept on. I've only played against one good Hecate support, and it is it's probably the most annoying thing I've played against. I think outside of like peak tanks in Smite 1, I think it is the most annoying thing I've played against. You go support build, you build annoying items like Gem of ISO, and you basically just spam your 2 up into there, and it makes it very annoying to play laning phase and then slower team fights. So if you're fighting like in a lane around objective, the harassment is annoying. It's very, very hard to play around. Hercules, I think Hercules is nuts, but not in solo. I think his solo is good. I'd probably put his solo in B tier. Not because it's bad, it's just not going to dominate. His jungle gameplay is nuts because his passive makes him so tanky. So you're going full damage or hybrid out of the jungle. You're doing mainly focused on your damage. And then anytime your passive is up, which is very easy to get up, you are tanky as fuck. And your cooldown on him just goes crazy. You pretty much just roll through all of your abilities over and over and over again. Izanami? Izanami's a weird one. I kind of want to put Izanami in C tier. I'm going to put Izanami in C tier. I think Izanami's ultimate late game is cracked, but I think the rest of her kit is not cracked. I think every other ADC is more valuable than her, and I would rather not have an Izanami in my game, but I don't think you're ruining the game by going it. Okay, that's a lie. I don't even know if I'd say that. Where'd she go? Where'd she go? Where'd she go? Jingwei, where are you? Oh, there she is. I'm trolling. I don't think she's complete shit. I think she's all right. The problem with Jingwei is you want to play around crit, around her 2. And there's anti-crit in the game, which is very good. And crit is also not peak when you have items like Braggies and Kins. However, you could go Braggies and Kins or Braggies and Sunbeam and still get crit and still have a fine build. So I'm okay with putting her in C. I wouldn't be surprised if we see someone come up with a better build or people not wanting to build anti-crit and then she just spikes until people start building it again. Khepri as a support, I think, is average. Decent laning phase, not a crazy team fight. I do think the aspect is better than for him as a support now that I've seen it. But yeah, that's probably where I'd put him, aspect or not. I put him in B tier. Kukulkan is kind of slept on, but still average. He should be, if you're playing Kukulkan right, it is so hard to die. I just think the damage difference from Smite 1 to Smite 2 is affecting gods like Agni and Kukulkan a lot, where they like the ult doesn't just instantly one-shot you at the same point in the game, and for that reason Kukulkan's in B tier. Loki is shit, dude. I don't want to put Loki up here into this tier. I kind of wish I had made another tier, because let's do that. I think I need another tier. Can I oh, I can edit this. A+. It will go. What color do we go? Teal? Teal. Where the fuck is it? Oh, it's down here. Wait, I shouldn't have done teal. Whatever. Too bad. We're already on teal. All right, so I need to move this. I would put Loki here. I would put Cupid here. I would put Hercules here. Actually, that's a lie. I would do this. That's what it would look like. So A+ for me are not quite pick ban, not top pick, top ban, but like, if you can get Loki in a game, it is a great fucking jungle pick. He's nuts. I don't like his aspect that much. It has cool potential, but I think he's cracked. Medusa's damage output, I think, is ridiculous. Probably match it evenly around like on her for burst, but on her is a way better consistent ADC throughout a game, where Medusa is way better. You don't build ability Medusa, in my opinion. You still go auto attack, but it's like burst auto attacks. You play around your dash, singling somebody out, killing any tanks that dive you. And she is very good. Mordred with aspect in the solo lane, I like. Or if you're like full tank jungle, I like. I think it's really, really hard to beat. But if you're going full damage in the jungle, I think you're trolling. Mulan, I think, is pretty mid. Same problem into the late game. I feel like if your team's winning, any solo would work for that, but if your team's losing, you just can't do the extra work that needs to be done. As a jungler, I don't think damage Mulan is there because you just kind of die late game. Nemesis, aspect Nemesis. It takes a large amount of patience, game knowledge, and understanding of how much damage you're going to take to play the aspect. But aspect Nemesis is fucking ridiculous. I'm not putting her in the S tier because I do think I'd rather have some other gods over her. However, if you are consistently playing correctly around that ult, absolutely destroys people in team fights. Neath, I think, is kind of being slept on with the aspect change. You go full strength instead of int. You play like old Neath, like ability Neath out of Smite 1, but then you have a crazy amount of tag speed, so you can go like a Kins or a Braggies or something to pair with it and just pump out damage. Or go both and still play like ability auto attack. Nuad, she just got nerfed. I think she's annoying, but I actually think the nerfs just dumpstering her minions and the fact that the ult doesn't hit that hard, I'm putting her down into B tier. I think she's just a very safe mage. Odin, kind of meh. They buffed him. They try to make him scale more off of damage. They lowered the cooldown on his 3. He's really good at being spammy, but his ultimate's still worthless. You can have like 2-3 gods with Shell, and basically Odin's ult becomes worthless because of that. So that's why I'm putting him in the C tier. Pele, same god, same shit. Probably put Pele in A tier. Best god at 100 is zeroing an individual god. The exact same she was in Smite 1, but a little bit better because her 3 procs shit, like Hydra's and Bumba's hammer. Trying to think what else. That might be it. So if you use 3 and cancel your 3, 3 and cancel your 3, you'll keep triggering Hydra's over and over again. So that's why she's A tier and a little bit better than Smite 2, but very similar. Poseidon. I like Poseidon, but I think when they've basically nerfed or balanced out his 2-1 combo, he became a very mid mage. Aegis is on such a short cooldown. Actives kind of counter out his whirlpool. I don't think he's bad, but I think if the other team is decent and plays like, hey, they have a Poseidon and we need this, this, and this, you just don't get to do much. Ra is cracked. Ra aspect in mid, support, or solo is beast. I think Ra with aspect might be one of the best solos. I think regular Ra in mid only is fine. They did buff him to try to make him do a little more damage. I don't think it matters. I think you just go aspect Ra in any role, and he's always fucking cracked. Not any role, sorry. In support, mid, or solo. And he's always cracked. The fact that you can heal your teammates now is insane. The fact that you can put your 3 on a teammate and AoE heal while doing damage is insane. They take away the scaling for the ult and the 3 by doing that with the aspect, but it's just, if you hit a god on their team and your teammate, so you do damage and heal, instantly better than just raw ulting. Raw's cracked. Sobek, nuts. It's the same Sobek. He harasses the fuck out of you. He has infinite stacking max HP, and he connects you with his ult. I don't think the execute is broken. I just think his consistency and his level of annoyance in every game, regardless of what he's playing against, is why he's A+. Soul is D tier. She might be our only D tier god. She's in a weird spot where she was the best god in the game for ADC when crit was meta. Now that crit's kind of meh, she's not. And I just haven't seen enough of her running any mage build or anything. I think they need to kind of buff her so she can play mage. So I'm going to put her in D. I really wouldn't play Soul. I think you could win with Soul. I don't think the game's over. I think you're just playing at a disadvantage. Susano, probably the most consistent jungler all of Smite 2 so far. Alpha into the beta, whatever. He's very good. He's countered by a lot of gods right now. He's a highly mobile god. Cupid fucks you up. Some of the matchups in the game really hurts. But I think he is hyper consistent and just a good jungler. Thanatos. Thana's good. Risky. Execute still strong. His aspect's cool. I don't think it's as OP as people make it out to be. Put him on the like the Susano Pele level of jungles. The Morrigan. Okay, so for 99.9% of people who will play Morrigan, she's probably A tier. Maybe even B tier because she's so buggy. I'm going to say B tier because she's so buggy. Okay, but for that 0.1 or 0.01 or 0.001 players, the 10 Morrigan gods that play the game, she's S tier. It is just because of the aspect. She cannot be ganked. She will not die. She will always have the opener on you if you are one of those Morrigan players. Problem is, there's not that many of you, so we're going to say B tier. Thor, insanely consistent. CC is valuable. His damage is a little lower than Smite 1, in my opinion. But just he's still Thor. He's still very annoying. We're playing a game where people don't want to build beads, but if they do build beads, are they really using it on the Thor ults? Are they consistently use it on Thor stuns? I think his consistent stuns and CC, as long as you play slow enough, is very good. And he's going to be there. Ul, the only god, so it's Aladdin, best god of the game. Geb and Ul, the next 2 best gods in the game, and then Athena. So it would look like this. Ullr's broken. He pairs insanely well into the meta. His damage is ridiculous. He gets Teko Kage, which is the movement speed, cooldown, power item. So it pairs with his 2. He's basically a god you cannot chase, you cannot catch, you cannot outrun, and you cannot outburst. The only thing I would say that's bad about Ul is cripples. Fuck him, and he'll die a lot when that happens. The good thing for him, the only god he'll go against that has cripple is Cupid. So if he's using his actives correctly, he'll be all right. He's not dealing with Ares because Ares fucking sucks. And we haven't seen a lot of other cripples in the game yet. There's Cern too, which is instant. It's a 1-second cripple. But Ul is probably the god we're going to see hard nerf next. Because they keep tweaking Geb a little bit. It's not hard nerfs. I think Ul is going to see some damage nerfs. Like right off the gate for his big nerfs. Or for his whenever he gets his nerf patch. Yamoja, I like Yamoja. I just don't think she's crazy potent. I think she still kind of plays around her ult and can be annoying. I just think there's better supports to play the support role and peel or engage or whatever. She's just in a mid ground of what she really does. Ymir for me, this feels bad, dude. It's crazy too, because with the fact that beads aren't built by everybody, I thought Ymir would be solid. I'll probably put him in a C tier. So I don't think he's terrible. It's just Shell is easy to get, so you're never going to get walled into a terrible spot. He's better because of his wall for his movement and everything, but if he's playing support, which is where you should be playing him, it's kind of meh. If you're playing him jungle and going hyper damage, you will stomp out in lower end games, but once you start team fighting, he is completely fucking worthless, and I think that's why I'm going to put him in C tier. Zeus. I like Zeus. I think Zeus Mirrodin is maybe the highest DPS mage in the game. His one got fixed. I don't think I think they might have buffed it, but it got fixed where it wasn't working right. His one will fuck you up. And then being able to double 3 with Mirrodins, you can go into 1v2s and 3s and win them very, very easily. His downside is his mobility. He has no dashes. He does have movement speed. He can play around a focus and his 2 and actually be really fast. Active usage and being around your teammates is really core for him. I actually like him as ability Zeus out of the jungle more than mid because it's clear. It's kind of meh. With Sobek Solar support, both. Very good. I'd probably rather have him in support just because you get that early harassment, like ganks and everything become easier for you. But in solo, he's very good. And yeah, that's what my tier list would look like.